Hi all, this is Vinayak from Annamaya Kosha. Suddenly one thought came into my mind, why not make some videos that are really useful for the people over there. And it's not one of those videos where I'm going to be talking about the scientific nature of the food or something in jargons which the common people find it very difficult to understand. Because I'm a common man, so I would like to comprehend the things the way I do and also convey the things I understand. Otherwise, they become a kind of an esoteric, language. So, this is one of those videos you can say, and wherein I'm going to be talking about the preservatives in the food. Now, you just log into the website and then see there are so many videos, so much of information about the preservatives, additives in the food. And I'm talking about the Indian savory essentially, wherein like things like bhujia or chips or Navaratan mixture and various stuff like that. So if you are using those things for your children at home, thinking that whenever they are hungry and because you don't have time to cook something for them, or they are not as hungry as to eat a meal or a proper snack, so it is very convenient for all of us to keep some packets of chips or kurkure and things like that for the children. And more often than none, it becomes a habit for them to just simply come, open the cabinet and then eat something, munch something and go. And so much so that whenever you make snacks like very desi snack like upma or poha or anything of that sort, or probably the boring rice and sambar, okay, the human tendency is to have something crunchy along with that. That is for two reasons. One is, whenever you think that the food is little boring, you need some accompaniment for that. And what can be more better accompaniment than these so-called fried savories like chakli and various stuff, namkeen, bhujia. So I was just going through little bit of information on the net, and the way I understood, because I'm not going to confuse you with so much of information here, so let us try to understand in a very laymanish way. This is just one of the screenshots of the nutritional information per 100 grams of a namkeen here, and you see here energy 579 kilocalorie. Now most of us, we do not understand what are these numbers, we don't know how to read this label. We think that the label is there, oh, that means that there is a permission for these people to come up with this particular snack, and the FSSAI, the Food Ministry of India, has already approved it, so we don't have to worry, we can easily consume it, is what we think. But you got to think again, because I'm not necessarily saying that these are the banned substances, they are permitted substances only, but what do they mean to us is very important. Now again, as I said, I'm not going to dwell deep into each ingredient or each information over here, because it's an ocean. If you have to understand what is the energy, why it is measured in kilocalories, what is the actual meaning of kilocalories, how many kilocalories that one needs to have, and so many things, it is going to be a very big video, and even honestly I don't know myself too much about it. But then little bit of research showed me that one person needs only about 2000 calories a day, or probably 150 calories per serving. That's all you need. And just imagine a fate of a child who eats the entire packet of whatever, namkeen, kurkure and things like that. Similarly, the carbohydrates, they don't talk about the effect of the carbohydrates there, they just simply mentioned here 42.43 grams. Sugar is this much. Again, there's a limit for the sugar intake per day. Saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids and trans fatty acids. If at all you are interested in knowing a bit more about what do they mean to our body, please go and research about them. But then I want to tell you one thing is that, like, whatever is mentioned over here, for example, trans fatty acids, it says 0 grams. And when I did research, then I came to know that if it is below a limit, then you don't need to mention that according to a particular permission or a grant, whatever it is. Okay. So it is 0, meaning trans fatty acids. If you Google what is trans fatty acids, then you will come to know it is bad for health. Then apparently, if it is bad for health, if it is 0, then it is good for us. This is what is the understanding that we get, but it is not. Okay. Now let us go to another website that I have opened here. So essentially all these namkeens and all that, they are addictive in nature, so they will make us as well as our children addictive to it. I was researching that the children up to the age of 20, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. That is why it is easier for them to fall prey to all this craving and alluring food, especially the food that has more sodium in it and more sugar in it. They fall prey to that, and we adults, we do not fall, but then it is very addictive indeed. And just imagine that if you have a very bland tasting food at home, and if you have a packet of this, then it makes it easy to have it along with that food, and then we are done with it. But we seldom fail to analyze that what harm those kind of food make in it. So there are two solutions. One is you be happy with the bland food that you have, or if you want to really make it tastier, learn better skills. As simple as that. And I will have one more solution to it also. At the end I will tell you. So like if you see all these preserved food, okay, they essentially have, other than whatever is the ingredient. For example, you say the potato chips, the main ingredient is potato, right? But the potato chips also may have some acidity regulator, or some namkeen, or the mixture that you have, apart from the regular basic ingredients like peanuts and mustard seeds, cumin seeds and blah blah, you also have something known as ER, or starts with acidity regulator number, something which is permitted again, okay. And acidity regulator, if you go and search, for example, I have searched in one of the websites here, food additives, so they say that acidity regulator is not very bad for the health. Here there's a guy called, I'm not naming them here, but I'm just saying, like, if a pharmaceutical major in an university, if you ask him, obviously he will write the facts. He's not lying there, that it is not essentially bad for the health. But why have they added the citric acid? Because one thing is definitely that they want to prolong the shelf life of the particular savory, and also it will add some taste to it. That comes as an advantage. And when you search on that, whether it is useful or not useful, then you will come to know that it is not that harmful also. So you will feel that you are safe. But my question to you is, why do you have to eat something which is not a food? Simple question, right? It is not a food at all, and it is added in order to preserve the food, and the food that is essentially made long back, and to give you a longer shelf life, and to make you feel probably that eating that will not harm your health, as well as in turn it may benefit you. Very good website here is called Down to Earth, and here I found out that typically you just see here. So they have talked about a Happy Meal for the kids here. So what is Happy Meal? What does Happy Meal contain? One thing that it contains is a toy for the children, just to allure them. And if a child gets a toy in a meal, then he will be very happy. And then another fact is, whatever the child eats is very tasty also. And why that has become more tasty is the trinity, like they say, the sugar, the salt, and the fat. These three things are added generously in junk food to make us addictive about it. So they have talked about the fact that all these people, essentially the multinational giants, this becomes a novel food for them, so they don't pack it and sell it like the preservative. So whatever you mention, they are not bound by the regulations of the government over there. So this is like that. So you can just go through this website. So it gives the beautiful information, and this particular website gives what the definition for calories, saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, and various things. If you are interested in knowing about what all these things happen, so you need to know the key search words in Google as to how you can search. Then only you will be able to go through the corners of the internet and to dig out some beautiful information. Let me tell you, when you talk about anything available, there are two views, two perceptions. One set of people says that it is good, one set of people believes that it is bad. Now, when you see the views of the people which are recommending that, advocating that, that will also be very convincing to you. And when you see from a perspective of a common man or a commonsensical way, or the ways that our ancestors have thought about and all those things, then you will see that it is not that good. Just an example, MSG, monosodium glutamate, it's a chemical, but then they say that it is a fermented version of either sugarcane or tapioca. And way back in 1900s, one person in Japan found out, and he named it as Ajinomoto, and it actually is a fifth taste. They say it's a savory taste it gives to the food element. And in the USA, there's a lot of objection for the MSG happened, and then later, and some of the people who love the food and who would like to support this thing, they also said that MSG is not that bad for your body, as not as bad as it is being propagated. People have put in board like MSG, we don't use MSG in our food and things like that. Basically, it happened because intolerance for Chinese food or Chinese restaurant. That is why they said that they were racist, and MSG they took it as an instrument to wage a war against them. But if you really see, if at all whatever you are saying that MSG is a fermented sugarcane or fermented tapioca, and because it improves the taste and you are adding it, it is fine. One, the quantity that you are using it in the food. The secondly, how it is manufactured. How are you sure that the way the MSG is manufactured is ethical? I tried to search a lot in the net, that I did not find a single video or an evidence of the MSG being manufactured. There could be some, but at least till now I not found one. So if you have some video, please send it to me. I would like to see that, how the MSG is manufactured. Now, whether it is good or bad is not a question here. Why do you want to use it if you can make a tastier food yourself? Now I'll tell you as we come to the end of this video, because I wanted to keep it very short. I'll tell you how can you make food taste better without using the namkeen, the extra savory accompaniments of the manufactured food, such as the groundnuts, the peanuts. You can roast them and put some masala to it and make something like a masala peanut, and you can have it along with the whatever bland food or not so interesting food. You can make chakli at home. You can fry, for that matter, the potato chips also, if at all it is required. And the papadam, the hapala, papad, those are the best accompaniment ever for the food. So like that, there are so many. Just ask your mother, grandmother, they will be knowing so many accompaniments, because our fathers, forefathers and our ancestors never had these kind of preserved food, and I think we are consuming them a bit too much. So this is a message for all of us to just contemplate. I'm not saying that you have to stop it completely. Maybe once in a while it is still okay, probably, but it is not necessary that every day, just in order to forget the blandness of the food, the boring part of the food, we are falling prey to these preserved food.